Nate Pearson? What
Yeah.
what's the latest on the guy that was the 100-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher?
Well, he's still just trying to get it back and trying to find himself a little bit and build up his workload capacity. We'll see what happens with Hyunjin Ryu and the imaging that he went for, but this may be an opportunity for him. Like there's a pathway and potentially a need. So, he's still in a position where he has to earn his way back onto the roster. The Blue Jays aren't just sitting there with a roster spot waiting for him waiting. And he has to be better than everybody else and surpass some people on the depth chart now because of just the way things have turned out. But all the pieces, all the ingredients are still there for him to be unbelievable and electric. Just, can he put it all together?
Well, I was going to ask you about Ryu. So at this moment, we aren't really sure what his status is, but he had an abbreviated start yesterday. And there's a danger that he may be sitting for some extended period of time. The other guy that I'm a little bit concerned about is Barrios, who has been intermittently okay, but okay is about the best he's been this year based on his history. Do you see anything there that is problematic?
Yeah, I mean, look, the lack of swing and miss is definitely something that is unusual for him. And it seemed that, his fastball has been getting hit this year. And, the velocity was down in the previous outing. And, he hasn't been as effective with that pitch. And when he's not as effective with that pitch, then he can't leverage the breaking ball. And the breaking ball is super important for him. And he's not getting to the changeup as much. And, everything else stops working as well. So can he, or why is the fastball not there? Is he just maybe going through a bit of a dead arm period, which sometimes happens to pitchers, and maybe it's tied to the abbreviated spring and things of that nature? I don't know. Maybe. Is there something physical that's going on that's maybe hindering him a bit? If there is, we don't know about it at this point. So there are a number of sort of potential things. Could this just be, a tweak away, like moving back on the rubber or something along those lines to create some different angles or whatever the case may be? That could be the case as well. But, when he got to the Blue Jays last year, he had a bit of a dip. I think there were 3 rough starts in a row or something like that. And then, a lot of people got into panic mode. It was like, oh, let's undo the trade or things of that nature. And then he recovered and was great. This could just be a blip because there have been some very good outings within it, including recently. The last one in Anaheim was not good. And there were some, again, the velocity being down and the lack of command weren't great. He got BABIP'd a little bit. So, that might've been a factor, but I think right now there are a lot of flags that you have to pay attention to. They could be nothing. It could just be part of an ebb and flow, or they could be signs of something potentially bigger.
Well, injuries are always the concern, and you'd like to have an organization, a team that has plenty of options. If this happens, then that happens. And so far, they haven't had to dip into the minor leagues for a starting pitcher. I guess they've moved guys back and forth out of the bullpen, but they haven't really brought anybody up.
That's been Stripling's job, hasn't it? Really?
Well, yeah, he in the starting role, but
yeah,
they moved guys back and forth out of the bullpen too.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled briefly Bowden Francis out of the Buffalo rotation and Casey Lawrence out of the Buffalo rotation and brought them into the bullpen here for depth. But yeah, they haven't had to reach out for a spot starter because they have Stripling for that. And you see every time one of these situations arises, you certainly appreciate him more and more. Because just think, Sunday, or was it Saturday in Anaheim.
Mhm.
He's coming out for the final out of the game and getting a save, and the next day he's back out on the mound and providing some length, right? So they've been fortunate that way. But if there is something, they're at the point now where they're at their depth, and that's why there's a bit of an opportunity for Pearson and for the other guys potentially.
The other thing is, has there been a more seamless transition to Major League Baseball in the last few years than what we've seen with Alex Manoah? Seriously.
It's wild.
I mean, we talked about this in the during the labor dispute that, Manoah will be there. He's still a kid, and it was taken for granted that he was going to be a cornerstone of the starting rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it was just was it just in Anaheim that he had it was the 1 year anniversary of his promotion, like 1 year in the big leagues, his 29th start. But it feels like he's been up forever, and it feels like he's embedded. And in some ways, this is what we expected from Pearson, right? And he's just become that guy instead.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely been seamless. And the one thing is, there is the intriguing split between righties and lefties, and how much tougher lefties are on him. And he's certainly working to find a pitch to counteract that. But there's nothing not to like about him. You're seamless is a great word, and there are very few comps for someone who hasn't had a bump, and also someone who had an off season between the beginning and the end, where there was time for other teams' analysts to pick him apart and try to find ways to attack him.
Because we all have seen in the last, the amount of time we've watched baseball, we've all seen guys get through the league once, maybe twice, and the third time they get through, they're disasters.
Right.
That teams know how to hit them. The teams, know their tendencies. That has not happened with this guy, has it?
No, I mean, he just eliminates right-handed batters. Like, if you look at the numbers, it's maybe a 300 OPS for right-handed hitters against him. Like, it's nuts. He just completely negates them. Now, lefties can be tougher on him. And that start in Anaheim I think they were 6 for 14 or something along those lines, and the righties were 1 for 11. I may have my numbers off, but they were in that range. It's just unreal stuff. And if he can just take the lefties down just a tick, he's just going to be giving up nothing.